Exodus chapter 30 takes us even deeper into the divine blueprint. Just when you thought we were done with instructions, God's got more details. And these aren't just any details. We're talking about some key elements that keep the whole tabernacle operation running smoothly. So buckle up because it's time for the altar of incense, the anointing oil, and yes, even some good old atonement money. Let's dive in. Step 1. The altar of incense. Smells like spirit. First up in this chapter, the altar of incense. God instructs Moses to build a small altar made of acacia wood and overlaid with pure gold. It's placed right in front of the curtain that separates the Holy of Holies, the place where God's presence dwells. Now this isn't your typical incense burner. This thing has a very specific job. Every morning and evening, Aaron is supposed to burn sweet incense on it as an offering to God. It's not just to make the place smell good. It's a symbolic act of prayer and worship, like sending up divine smoke signals. And God is very particular. No unauthorized incense allowed on this bad boy. Step 2. Atonement money, God's tax system. Now, here's where things get even more interesting. God introduces what can only be described as a divine tax system. He tells Moses that whenever the people of Israel are counted in a census, each person has to pay a half shekel as an atonement offering to God. It's like a redemption fee to ensure that nobody's life gets cut short during the census. And here's the kicker, rich or poor, everyone pays the same. It's not about wealth, it's about everyone contributing to the community and acknowledging their need for atonement. This atonement money goes toward the upkeep of the tabernacle, making sure it's always in top condition for worship. Step 3. The bronze basin, wash up, priest. Next we move on to the bronze basin, and this is critical. It's a big wash basin made of bronze, and it's placed between the altar and the entrance to the tent of meeting. This is where Aaron and his sons have to wash their hands and feet every time they enter the tent or approach the altar to offer a sacrifice. Why? Because if they don't wash, they're gonna die. Yeah, that's how serious this is. God's like, cleanliness is next to holiness, and he means it. No dirty hands or feet in his sacred space. The basin is a constant reminder that approaching God requires purity and reverence. Step 4. The holy anointing oil. This ain't no regular oil. Then we get to the holy anointing oil, and it's not your average olive oil. God gives Moses the recipe for a sacred mixture of oils and spices, myrrh, cinnamon, cane, cassia, and olive oil, all blended together into a holy anointing oil. This stuff is strictly for consecrating the tabernacle, the furnishings, and the priests. God's very clear on this. No one else can use this oil for personal use, and no knockoff versions are allowed. It's like God's signature scent, and it's reserved for his sacred space. Anyone caught trying to use it for anything else? Yeah, they're cut off from the community. Step 5. The incense recipe. Keep it holy. Lastly, God hands down the recipe for the incense that's supposed to be burned on the altar of incense. Like the anointing oil, this incense is a holy mixture of sweet spices, including stacte, onycha, galbanum, and pure frankincense. The incense is reserved exclusively for the tabernacle, and God makes it clear that it's not for personal use. Try to make some for yourself at home, and just like the oil, you're cut off from the people. God's not playing around. This incense is part of the worship experience, symbolizing the prayers of the people rising to heaven. There's no room for knockoffs or DIY versions here. Now that we've got the furnishings, the anointing oil, and the incense all laid out, you might think we're done, but nope. Exodus chapter 31 is where God starts talking about who's going to build all this stuff. And let me tell you, it's not just anybody. God's got a special team of artisans lined up, hand-picked and filled with his spirit to make sure the job gets done exactly the way he wants. Are you ready to meet the master builders and watch God's construction project come to life? Because chapter 31 is bringing in the artistic reinforcements, and it's about to get creative up in here.